Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking closely at a really fascinating project, The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green.
Right. And it's interesting because it's not just a book, is it?
No, exactly. It started out as a podcast, actually, back in 2018.
Ran for a few years, then became this best-selling nonfiction book in 2021.
And the core concept, this is the really cool part, is Green reviewing, well, all sorts of facets of our human-centered planet.
On a 5-star scale.
Yeah, on a 5-star scale. Everything from, big concepts to everyday things.
And that approach, it's surprisingly profound, isn't it? He takes this simple review format and uses it to explore just huge aspects of being human.
Right. Like 1 minute he might be tackling, say, our capacity for wonder.
Huge idea.
Yeah. And the next he's reviewing Diet Dr. Pepper.
Or the Canada goose, how we've shaped species like that.
Or even Halley's Comet, our relationship with these cosmic events.
It's that mix, that unexpected way of looking at stuff that really sparks things.
Totally. And I think for our listeners, people who appreciate getting knowledge efficiently but also deeply,
Yeah.
this approach is just perfect. Because each review, podcast, or book chapter isn't just a rating.
No, it's much more.
It's woven with personal stories, reflections. You get these little bursts of insight.
So you're not just learning about the Canada goose, for instance.
Right. You're seeing it through his, very human viewpoint, trying to place it in this world we've influenced so much.
It's that Anthropocene perspective.
Exactly. So let's talk about how it actually became a thing. It started as a podcast.
Yeah, early 2018. And it was monthly, pretty regular,
Okay.
until the fall of 2020.
What happened then?
Well, he put the podcast on hiatus,
Hmm.
decided to focus on turning it into a book.
Ah, okay. So the book came next.
Right. The Anthropocene Reviewed, Essays on a Human-Centered Planet, that came out May 2021. Dutton Penguin published it.
And it wasn't just the podcast scripts typed up, was it?
No, definitely not. That's a key point. The essays were revised, expanded.
And new ones too.
Yeah, and completely new ones as well. It shows a real evolution to the whole project, I think.
Adapting it for a different medium.
Exactly. And, it clearly worked.
How so?
It debuted at #1 on the New York Times bestseller list.
Wow. Okay. That's huge.
Yeah. And the podcast, it didn't just vanish then either.
No.
There was a final short season, 4 episodes, I think, timed with the book release.
Kind of a companion piece?
Sorta, yeah.
Yeah.
But after that, John pretty much said that was it for the podcast side of things.
Felt like he'd explored it fully in that format, maybe.
Seems like it. A very deliberate ending to that part.
Makes you wonder, though, where did the initial idea even come from? Reviewing, geese and sunsets on a 5-star scale.
Right. It wasn't just out of the blue.
No.
Turns out, way back in the early 2000s, he spent years reviewing hundreds of books for Booklist.
Oh, interesting. Like proper literary reviews.
Yeah, exactly. And that experience sort of immersing himself in the review as a form.
It must have planted a seed.
Seems like it. He got interested in the review itself as a way of writing, of thinking.
Taking that critical thinking and applying it elsewhere.
Pretty much. Applying to, well, everything but books,
Mm-hmm.
which is fascinating.
Yeah.
It suggests that, careful consideration, evaluation,
Mm-hmm.
it's a powerful tool for understanding almost anything.
Then there was that story from the 2017 book tour with Hank.
Ah, yeah, the Google reviews.
Finding those really weird or funny user reviews of, national parks or whatever.
Totally. Someone giving the Badlands 1 star,
Right. It's in those moments, isn't it? Seeing how people judge the world.
often in absurd ways.
That the idea maybe started to click.
Yeah.
John mentioned reviewing Canada geese to Hank.
And Hank just immediately said, The Anthropocene Reviewed.
And that was it, the title.
Yeah. Kind of amazing how that came together. Serendipitous almost.
From travel jokes to this big concept. But it wasn't totally new for him then.
No, he'd actually written a couple of pieces like that before, way back in 2014. Yeah, reviews of Canada geese and Diet Dr. Pepper, they existed before the podcast was even a thing.
So the idea was percolating for a while.
Definitely. And his wife, Sarah Urist Green, she played a key role too, didn't she?
How so?
Well, he showed her those early reviews, which were apparently quite detached, objective sounding.
Okay.
And she pointed out, look, in the Anthropocene, this era defined by human impact.
Yeah.
There are no disinterested observers. We're all participants.
Ah. So reviews can't really be objective.
Exactly. They inherently become personal, almost memoristic, she suggested.
That's a really profound insight. It changes the whole game.
Totally. And it clearly pushed him to put more of himself, his own experiences into the reviews.
Less detached observer, more involved participant.
Precisely. And, that shift might have also connected with something else he was thinking about.
Which was?
His fiction writing. He apparently felt a bit constrained by readers assuming his characters' views were his views.
Oh, right, the author versus narrator thing?
Yeah. He mentioned Allegra Goodman's line about novelists writing their life stories in code. He kind of wanted to. Well, not use code.
Right, more directly as himself.
Exactly. So the Anthropocene Reviewed became that outlet.
A space to engage directly, personally. Makes sense.
And it fits with what he said the podcast purpose was: to pay careful and sustained attention to the world around me.
And the podcast format really delivered on that. You mentioned each episode paired two topics.
Usually, yeah. Often seemingly random pairings.
Like the first one you mentioned?
Canada geese and
Yeah.
Diet Dr. Pepper. Right off the bat, you're like, okay, where is this going?
That juxtaposition grabs you.
For sure. And they weren't just random pairings. They were launch pads for these really rich essayistic pieces.
Memoir-like, you said.
Yeah, blending personal story, bits of history, science sometimes, poetry, humor.
Much more than just, I give this 3 stars.
Oh, way more. It was a deep dive into the thing itself and its place in our world.
The range of topics is just wild when you list them out.
It really is. You got big space stuff like Halley's Comet,
Ancient art like the Lascaux paintings.
worked by modern artists like Agnes Martin, Hiroyuki Doi.
Diseases, cholera, plague, smallpox. He reviewed diseases.
He did. Their history, their impact. Then really human things like our capacity for wonder, love at first sight.
Mortification, I remember that one.
Right. And then just everyday stuff. Hawaiian pizza,
Googling strangers. We've all done that.
Taco Bell breakfast menu, Kentucky Bluegrass, Super Mario Kart,
Bonneville Salt Flats, CNN, Whispering the Weather, Pennies.
Piggly Wiggly Tetris, seed potatoes of Leningrad,
That one was amazing. Teddy bears, penalty shootouts.
Indianapolis, velociraptors and the Jurassic Park kind, mostly.
Hurricane Harvey, the Hall of Presidents.
Prom, the marshmallow experiment, jogging, playing bullshit with Nat Wolf.
Yes. Scratch and sniff stickers.
Indy 500,
Gray aliens, rock, paper, scissors, air conditioning, sycamore trees,
hot dog eating contest, chemotherapy, the QWERTY keyboard.
the Quailish bird, sunsets, the Notes app, sports rivalries, Old Lang Syne, our concept of time, Monopoly, academic decathlon,
You'll Never Walk Alone, Jersey Dudek. 17 listener suggestions.
civilization itself, penguins of Madagascar, the movie,
The movie. Smallpox vaccine and an Icelandic hot dog stand.
signing your name 250,000 times, ginkgo biloba, orbital sunrise.
Phew. Okay, the list is huge.
Yeah.
But it makes the point, right?
Absolutely. It underlines that central theme, finding the remarkable in the mundane.
And the profound in the everyday. Taking a closer look at stuff we normally just ignore.
And considering its meaning in this
Yeah.
Anthropocene, how we've shaped it, how it shapes us.
And notice, too, how it spans the incredibly personal, like love at first sight, to the globally significant, like cholera.
Right. That move from detached judging to personal engagement is really key.
It is. And that's why we thought this project, the Anthropocene Reviewed, would be perfect for this deep dive.
Yeah, it speaks to that curiosity, that desire to see things differently, find those aha moments.
Especially for anyone interested in how you communicate complex ideas in a really engaging way. It's a masterclass.
Okay, so let's shift focus a bit more to the book itself. Essays on a human-centered planet.
Right. Revised podcast essays plus new ones.
And the structure in the book is different, isn't it? You mentioned memoir.
Yeah, the essays are arranged roughly chronologically according to events in his own life.
So even though each essay is a review of something specific.
There's this undercurrent of memoir running through it.
Yeah.
A life being lived and looked at through this review lens.
Interesting. And it dealt with the pandemic, too.
Yeah, it definitely engages with that experience, which makes sense given when it was written.
Grounds it in a very specific, shared historical moment.
A very Anthropocene moment, you could argue.
Good point. And for audio listeners.
He narrated the audiobook and apparently included 3 extra essays just for that version.
Nice. Catering to different formats.
Yeah, seems thoughtful. And the book's reach went way beyond English, too.
Translate.
Lots of them. German, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, Dutch. Shows the themes hit home universally.
And that signing thing. Tell us about that again.
Oh, yeah. He personally signed 250,000 tip-in sheets for the first printing.
250,000 signatures.
By hand. It's kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah.
A huge testament to his connection with readers.
Wow. Did he review that experience?
He actually did. He wrote a review of signing his name 250,000 times on the very last page he signed.
That's so meta.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then they adapted and expanded that into a podcast episode released the same day as the book.
This whole project just keeps folding in on itself.
In a really interesting way. And it didn't stop there, right? There was a zine.
Yeah, a physical zine came out later, had contributions from others on the team.
Stan Muller did some reviews. Rosianna Halse Rojas wrote a poem, illustrations.
Making it more of a community project.
Kind of extends that whole collaborative vibe they often have. And the book got academic attention, too.
Yeah, University of Mississippi picked it as a common read. He gave a keynote there.
Shows it's seen as work that sparks important conversations.
Definitely. And even after all that, a paperback came out later with 2 more new essays.
Still reflecting, still reviewing.
Seems like it. So, how did critics and readers react overall?
Overwhelmingly positively from what I saw.
Yeah.
Got great reviews from Book Lists, Library Journal, Publishers Weekly, Shelf Awareness, NPR, San Francisco Chronicle, lots of major outlets.
What were they praising specifically?
A lot of it was about those insightful connections he makes, that feeling of shared humanity.
Finding the universal in the specific.
Exactly. And just the quality of the writing, mature, compelling. NPR loved the webs of salient and unexpected connections.
Nice phrase. Finding wonder in the ordinary.
That came up a lot. And readers clearly felt the same way.
How do we know?
It won the Goodreads Choice Award for Best Nonfiction in 2021.
Ah, okay. Voted by readers. That's a strong signal.
Yeah, it shows it really connected with a wide audience.
So wrapping this up then, what's the big takeaway from the Anthropocene Reviewed podcast and book?
For me, it's really about the power of just paying attention. Closely, thoughtfully.
Looking beyond the surface.
Yeah, and thinking about the connections between the huge stale stuff, the Anthropocene epoch, and our tiny individual lives.
And using the review, that act of assigning value, as a way in.
Exactly. It becomes a tool to explore our relationship with everything, mundane or profound, in this world we've shaped.
It makes you think about your own place in it all.
Definitely.
So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is, what could you review today?
Doesn't have to be grand. Could be your coffee cup, could be the internet.
Something you love, something that drives you crazy.
Right. And just taking that moment to really consider it, evaluate it.
What unexpected thoughts might come up about how you're connected to this weird, complex, human-shaped world?
Exactly. A good question to ponder.
Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.
My pleasure.